Abzan Midrange, the Pig Blade, whatever you want to call it, in the hands of Shahar Shenhar. On the other side, you heard Maria giving herself a trophy for the pick here. Orzhov Aura's in the hands of Arne, and this is a relative breakout deck, but I have to go back to what Maria said at the desk. She's 100% right. When Boggles has its day, you should play it. Like, I don't know if that's today. She thinks it's every day, but if it is today, this type of deck is difficult to interact with, and it can really go over the top. You know, the weakness to these decks is that you can attack them if you choose to, but if they're off the radar, they can win.
Yeah, and the big thing with this deck is there's just a lot of resilience built in. One, a lot of people are not playing main deck Thoughtseize, so oftentimes they just won't be able to get the creature out of your hand. Shahar's deck is, but many of the Gen Fu decks, for example, play it in the board. Additionally, there's just many ways to get these creatures back from the graveyard. And so, you know, even if your opponents just remove these creatures right away, there's just a lot of different ways to kind of get it back.
That really is the crux of these type of decks. You know, the traditional Boggles lists, like the ones you'll see in Modern, rely on hexproof creatures that you can build things up on. That isn't the case here, though. It's how you described it, Paul. You can actually just get the creatures back and still maintain a lot of cards in hand, and that's the name of the game. They don't often actually protect themselves from being killed.
Oh, this is rough. So Arne kept a 5-land hand with a SRAM, hoping that Shahar does not have a Thoughtseize or a way to interact. And Shahar is going to go turn 1 Thoughtseize, and Arne's hand is just nothing.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Now, he does have the full 8 copies of these 2-drops that draw you an extra card when you play an Aura, and sometimes even other stuff in the case of SRAM. And he'll have another draw step here to try to hit it, but yeah. Cross your fingers, Arne, because this is a big draw step for you. If he can hit one here or the next turn, then he can be in fine shape. But if he misses, he's just going to be doing nothing.
Yeah. On the nice thing at the very least is just Shahar's deck just doesn't really put on a whole lot of pressure. So you do have some time here still to kind of get back your creature. You know, he can get the Lurrus back, put it into his hand on turn 3, then run it out maybe turn 5 in conjunction with the SRAM. And in the meantime, Shahar's just not going to be doing a whole lot.
All right, here it is. Big draw step, and there it is. SRAM right off the top of the library there for Arne. So he's going to be able to actually get his game plan rolling. Shahar says, okay, yeah, you hit it. I would have done the same.
Now, Shahar does have the Oath of Kaya here to get this SRAM, but not before Arne will be able to draw at least 1 card off of this. And really key card here off the top, Claim in Arne's hand, which is going to be really, really big because Shahar's going to kill it, but Arne just gets it back and then gets to draw 2 additional cards next turn with the 2 cartouches in his hand.
That's right. I will say, if I'm Shahar, I feel pretty relieved. You know, there's a very short window for Oath of Kaya to actually be able to take out a relevant card, and he hit it. So he's got that going for him.
Yeah, and now this is really interesting. A core Spirit Dancer off the top here. He's considering whether or not he wants to go claim Spirit Dancer into the cartouche. The danger there is this deck plays 4 copies of Extinction Event. And if you get 2 of those creatures into play and slap some auras onto it and Shahar plays Extinction Event, then all of a sudden Arne does not have access to any of these creatures to continue to draw cards with. So
yeah,
interesting to see if he just goes with 1 here.
I would just go for it. You know, one of the interesting things about the deck is that you can have these turns where you pick up 2, 4, 6 cards, and you just got to have faith that, hey, I'm going to find more, right? Just go for it. I like it. Also, this does force Shahar to actually have the card that you're worried about. And in the times when Shahar doesn't, like right now, you just get away with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, this is where you go, you know what? They're playing an 80-card deck. I mean,
yeah,
they have a lower chance of having it anyways.
What are the chances, as we say in the business? Here comes Yorion, and that actually was a timely Yorion, another card off of Wall of Blossoms, but Oath of Kaya, again, is going to actually take out one of these key cards. That window closes. It's 1 turn or 0, and both times Shahar was able to get rid of a relevant creature. So he's got that, and we'll see how this goes for Arne from here.
Yeah, but now all of these 1-mana enchantments are just going to be cycling. He's going to draw a card off of each of this, meanwhile continuing to grow the core Spirit Dancer. And then he also has a Hateful Eidolon in hand. So if Shahar has a way to remove this core Spirit Dancer, I mean, that's just going to be a ton of additional cards for Arne to draw.
That's right. Here comes the Spirit Dancer crunching in for 9 damage right now. And Shahar has to decide if he'd like to throw the Wall of Blossoms under the bus now or wait till later. It's an interesting decision because there are quite a few times when you don't even have that option as the creature is flying. In this case, the Yorion Sky Nomad could chump block if it needs to. There's Thoughtseize, by the way, from Arne.
Yeah, look at, I mean, 2 Thoughtseizes here too. Yeah, this Yasharn not doing a whole lot in this specific matchup. There's just actually a good amount of cards that aren't especially effective here. I know Shahar's playing a deck with a good amount of removal, but there's a lot of cards that just don't do anything, right?
Yeah,
He's got
he
cards,
really wants Extinction
He's got
Event.
cards like Yasharn, Elspeth Conquers Death in a Lurrus deck is laughably bad, does not do anything. So, yeah, at least in game 1, there's just going to be a lot of cards that Shahar can draw that just don't really have a huge impact.
Yeah, he needs to find Extinction Event quite quickly here because the door's going to close, particularly if Arne can find Angelic Gift to really force Shahar to keep having blockers.
Yeah, the big thing for Arne is to just find... Get another Aura Chain going.
Yes.
Right? He has now run out of auras to put onto the core Spirit Dancer for the time being.
I think he's deciding if it's worth it to fire off this other Thoughtseize here.
Yeah, I mean, he could get the Knight of Autumn, I guess.
Yeah, it does take out one of the auras. I mean, the one that would matter here would be Kaya's Ghost Form, and it's not here, so these just sort of shrink down the Spirit Dancer a little bit, but that isn't the name of the game here. You're right, though, Paul, in that Arne does need to get it going again. He doesn't have any more auras. One of the things, of course, that pops up is Lurrus, right? Lurrus doesn't only get creatures back, it's permanents. And so you can cast auras. Wow, baffling end off the top for Shenhar.
I was just about to get around to that, talking about the possible cards that he could have, and those were Extinction Event and Baffling End. And one notable thing about Arne's list is the fact that typically these Orzhov lists play 4 copies of Gaia's Ghost Form in the main, which are very, very effective against exile effects like Baffling End. But Arne's list only plays 1. He's got the rest in his sideboard, so game 1, cards like Baffling End cast out are really, really strong.
Wow, what a draw there for Shenhar.
And I'm sure Arne's going to be like, but I thought seized you. You didn't have that. Like, how did this...
Don't you know how this works?
Happen?
And for us in the booth, it's good to know that some things never change.
It's always on top.
Shahar,
it's always on top.
That's right. And look at this. Yorion comes in. This is a big top deck here. Oh, hello, Core Spirit Dancer. Now, there's a Sentinel's Eyes in the yard that can come down. But this is a big draw step here for Arne because he does need to kind of get it rolling again.
He does.
Let's see what he's got. An Angelic Gift. That's some business.
That is very big. That allows him to block this Yorion. I mean, Shahar does have the Knight of Autumn to get the gifts off, but still a really, really great draw.
And what did he find? Did he find another aura here? Yeah, it looks like he found another Sentinel's Eyes. Yes, he did. And this Core Spirit Dancer went from, hi, I'm on the battlefield, it's nice to see you guys, to an 8/10 flying Vigilance this one turn. And it didn't cost any cards from Arne.
Oh!
Wow! And now an Extinction Event off the top for Shahar.
So now he can go Extinction Event even. That would leave Arne with just a Hateful Eidolon.
Right. And he would lose his Yasharn.
He would lose his Yasharn, but doesn't do anything, and it got him the lands there anyways. So, I mean, I imagine he's going to want to do it. Maybe he wants to wait one more turn, but I'm not sure you want to let the Aura Chain happen next turn with that Core Spirit Dancer in play.
Turns out even 80 cards can't stop Shahar Shenhar from drawing exactly what he needs. Exactly what he needs it. Boy, those last 2 were real nice.
Yeah, so I'm imagining... Oh. Looks like he might just go for the Angelic Wings here instead. Nope.
He is. He's going to go for the extinction event.
Yep.
He decided, I can't get too greedy here. And Arne has to just be looking at this like, what is happening to me right now?
And Shahar debating whether or not he wants to attack, as there are some Sentinel's Eyes in the graveyard. The Hateful Eidolon does have lifelink, so just doing the math here. And now, I mean, Arne is kind of out of gas here. Now he's going to have to go for the Lurrus, play the Lurrus, and then get back the SRAM that he has in his graveyard.
All right, Huschenbeth still has a way out here. He is not done.
I wonder if
It
he's
has
going to
been
run
a
it out.
tough road for him. There's Lurrus into hand and now onto the battlefield. He can just go for a cartouche here and get in for a couple. That'll also bump him up to 10 life. But next turn is when he can start to try to turn things on again. But he needs a lot of help. He really does.
Yeah, but I mean, Shahar is not really going to be able to close this game out in time. I don't even think attacking with the Yorion is especially good here. Given that Arne has 2 lifelink creatures in play. If he uses the Knight of Autumn to kill the Hateful Eidolon, that's just another card for Arne to draw.
Shahar out of gas now. He's just got a Temple Garden left in his hand as he passes the turn, and there's SRAM going into the you can cast me zone.
Yep.
I would like to enter the battlefield, please. And if I recall, Arne also has a Sentinel's Eyes in hand. Yes, he does. So he can get the ball rolling again.
And look at this game. This is just a perfect example of Shahar just finding multiple ways to kill these creatures, and they just keep coming back. And it's just so hard to just get rid of every single copy of these tutus.
It really is a much more resilient deck than it looks. It looks like the type of deck where you're like, well, if you can stick one of these things and build it up big, then you can win. But it's not like that. This Orzhov Auras deck in the hands of Arne Huschenbeth really does have some serious resiliency on it. Also, you know, little stuff pops up too, like the lifelink creatures matter quite a bit.
Oh, man.
Lurrus and Hateful Eidolon can swing damage races and kind of invalidate certain strategies if you can get enough stuff on them. And look at Arne going off again.
Yeah, and now there's an All That Glitters. I don't know how many enchantments. I mean, that's 3 enchantments in play, so this is going to be at least +3/+3. Curious what he chooses to put the All That Glitters on. So he's considering the token.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So he's going to spread out his threats here. Yeah, look at that. +3/+3.
Dead weight on the Knight of Autumn.
Wow. And that's, of course, another card from SRAM.
Yep.
There's a Thoughtseize, but I think that Arne is finally out of mana here. But he's going to crunch here. The Heliod's Punishment is holding Yorion at bay. And Shahar needs to, once again, top deck something.
I guess a Yorion would be nice.
Yeah, he didn't find one. He just found a land.
I think that's just game at this point. That's 10 damage. I guess he doesn't have lethal just yet. Well, no, he's got the cartouches, of course. He can just play everything out of the graveyard with.
Well, he can play one thing, yeah. But
right.
He's gonna
but then
need
he
to...
can escape the Sentinel's Eyes as well.
Oh yeah, okay, gotcha. And those add 1 each, but then also an additional for the glitters. So that's 4 more right there. And he's already got 10 power out, so incredible. Shahar Shenhar looked like he might have a chance with those timely top decks, but it may have slipped away from him here as he's facing down lethal in game 1, and it's just going to be over.
Did he mess? Why is he?
I don't know why he said oops, because he's still going to have lethal. That's 14.
I'm not sure either.
He
Maybe there was like a
more.
tiny thing he could have done differently, but I don't think it's going to matter.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that when you play, you know, when you play against Shahar, you want to impress Shahar because, you know, he's such an accomplished player and all that. At any rate, I'm impressed. Arne Huschenbeth fought through a lot of hate there and still picked up the win over Shahar.
Necromentia. We are going deep here, folks.
Shahar
It's
reading
like, well,
it.
that'll get rid of 4 of them.
Oh, boy.
I mean, there are plenty of cards that do nothing. Elspeth Conquers Death. is very, very bad. Cutting some of the Yasharns. Looks like he's also cutting the Knight of Autumns. Killing the auras isn't really super important. The one that you might want to nab is the Kaya's Ghost form if you do want to use a removal spell to get those creatures off the battlefield. Ugin is pretty big.
Yeah,
Ugin
that exiles.
Ugin is really, really strong. It does exile. The one thing that Shahar does need to be mindful of are the Kaya's Ghost forms. Because with Kaya's Ghost form on a creature, even if you exile with the Ugin, the creature will come back.
That's right. Now, you do still get all the other stuff attached to it, right? So, as we saw, that would have been really important, right? If the auras in game one there never made their way to the graveyard, then we couldn't have seen what ended up being the star of the show, which was Lurrus, right? Lurrus was the card that got Arne in back in the game after being reset not once, but twice by those timely draws from Shahar Shenhar. And, Arne was looking at a board of not a whole lot going on, and all of a sudden it was Lurrus into SRAM into stuff, and then he never looked back again.
Yeah, but as you can see, Shahar does get to board in some pretty impactful cards here. Legion's End, if you can somehow... Oh, excuse me, it's not power, it's converted mana cost. So Legion's End, really, really powerful here.
Because it does exile as well, correct?
Right, it does exile.
Yeah, I haven't played a Legion's End in a while. But yeah, there you go. He gets you Henny's Expertise, which you can see in his hand here if he decides to keep.
Which is, I think, just... It's not especially good in this matchup because it's pretty easy to get those 2/2 creatures out of the range for the Henny's Expertise, but I think Shahar just didn't have any other really strong options out of the board.
Just get anything he can.
All right, well, this is 3 removal spells. So, we'll see how this goes. Keeping the Myriad Skull.
Yeah, I think we just gonna give up on that.
It's like, well,
dream.
if I draw 5 lands in a row.
All right, Temple Garden to kick things off before he passes it back. Remember, our players this round or in this particular match are 6-0. They're looking to be undefeated, of which there will be 2 players undefeated at the end of the day because of the number of competitors and the number of rounds that we've played thus far. It's also worth noting that both of these players are halfway to the magic number. If you get to 12 match wins, you're in the top 8, and both of them have gotten 6 and are looking to take the next step forward here with a win in this match.
So this is really big. Given that Arne knows about these 4 copies of Legion's End, he might want to wait a turn here before casting the SRAM. Wait till the next turn to play SRAM into Cartouche of Solidarity to make sure that it's a... Oh, what am I saying? I keep forgetting. Legion's End, excuse me, is converted mana cost, but he might want to be just trying to get value out of the SRAM instead.
Yeah, I was going to say your point stands though, Paul, because he can still just get the card back, and that could absolutely matter. And in fact, Arnie's going to do that. And it looks like Yorian's going to go into hand. Very slow start here for Shenhar. His deck isn't known for its super quick starts, but really he hasn't done much.
Yeah.
And now we're going to see Arne get SRAM, Senior Edificer on the battlefield, and then throw a Sentinel's Eyes. No, a Cartouche of Solidarity on it. And replacement immediately.
But this Legion's End. This Legion's End is going to get the other SRAM.
Yeah? In Core Spirit Dancer we trust, but honestly, that's the better one anyway.
Yeah, so this is going to be really strong. However, I mean, there's still that Core Spirit Dancer that Shahar needs to deal with.
It's a problem.
And this is why, if you think about, like, this is why, spot removal it's solid and you need it, but it's not the end all be all, right? It's just like when you play your creature and then you put an aura into it, even if they kill your creature in response, you're still drawing the card off of it. So it's not like you're really getting ahead. You're just using it to kill this creature, and because there's so many different ways to get these creatures back, I mean, it's just not even a huge cost.
That's right. Big incentive to keep piling the auras specifically on the Spirit Dancer when you have one, because it gets that extra bump off of it, and that's what you see here from Huschenbeth. He's lined up a couple more on there, and that's going to force Shenhar to fire off this Mythos of Nethroi on the Spirit Dancer and try to stem the bleeding, which he is able to do. So Arne with nothing particular going on. Let's see what he has for his draw step here. All right, it's just a concealed courtyard.
Yeah, so now we're going to see a Thoughtseize into a Luris. Then we're going to see him trying to rebuild here next turn, probably taking the Mythos away, as the Yorion and the Yashar not doing a whole lot.
Yeah, there it goes. Removal spell down. And you think just pay for Luris?
Yeah, just pay. I mean, there's nothing else really unless you want to save it from hand disruption, but you know Shahar's hand. So you just do this, play the courtyard. Next turn you can go Luris into SRAM into, you know, a Sentinel's Eyes.
Yep. Meanwhile, Shahar's casting 4/4s for 4 with some upside.
Just good, honest magic, Marshall.
It's really, maybe
right?
too honest here, right? Like,
I mean, a 4/4, a 4-mana 4/4 that gets you 2 lands. I mean, that's not bad.
Real honest. Like, I think Arne is fine with this game plan here. There's Luris hitting the battlefield, and that'll open up a bunch of options for him. Spirit Dancer is going to be the card that hits the battlefield again, and then immediately the ball's going to get rolling again with the Sentinel's Eyes and a card back into hand here for Huschenbeth. And once again, you know, this is like, it's like tennis, right? It's just he keeps breaking serve over and over, where whenever Shahar feels like he's stabilized or gotten things back, by the time it's his turn again, Arne has another card draw creature out and a few auras going, and it just keeps falling apart on him.
Yeah. Card that Shahar really wanted to find was something like a Binding the Old Gods, as that is something that you can get value from the Yorion, right? Mm-hmm. You can kill something and then kill something again on the following turn, but he just hasn't been able to find one. And now, I mean, there's added protection here. There's the Kaya's Ghost form that he can put on either the Luris or the Core Spirit Dancer.
Yeah, I could see either. That's an interesting decision. And it looks like he's going to go for the Luris. It makes sense. It gives
both.
You insurance. Oh, he got another one? Great.
Yeah.
Great. And there's really nothing that Shenhar can do. Arne Huschenbeth is looking to be 7-0 here to start off his Kaldheim Championship. Just about the best you could hope for here.
My goodness.
For Arne.
He's like, should I do it?
He's like, do I have lethal?
Right. I mean,
sure do.
You know,
easily has lethal here as well. And that's going to do it. Arne Huschenbeth with Orzhov Auras is going to attack for easy lethal here and finish the job, handing Shahar Shenhar his first loss of the day. And Arne is 7-0 to kick things off. You know, he only needs to win 5 more rounds to make the top 8 guaranteed, which, okay, that's not easy to do, but still,